Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Question number 1. Never have I ever been on a blind date. 3, 2, 1. Show your answer. No, I haven't. Okay, never have I ever creeped somebody on social media. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Never have I ever gotten a tattoo that I regretted.
It's like 2 letters.
Oh, you put no tats. I should have put that
Yeah,
too.
I put no tats.
Yeah.
Ready. So, never have I ever faked being sick to get out of a commitment.
I'm just like, whatever.
What was that about?
No, I had to fake being.
Oh,
I mean,
lead into never have I ever lied to get a job. Just the What you need me to be? 5'8"? Okay, yep. What you need me to be? 5'5"? Okay, we can arrange that too. Never have I ever been advised to make myself look lighter. Yeah, that's technology.
Right?
3, 2, Tetris. No.
Yes.
But I have.
but I have in an ad.
Oh.
So like the outcome was complexions lighter than what I was.
Oh.
Yes.
So they
So-
photoshopped your complexion.
Basically,
Wow.
yeah. And it was like a huge thing. Like I was just like, everybody was like, oh. This is the new Ronnie. Yeah.
I was in theater school and we were doing acting on camera, and we were shooting scenes, and the guy who was doing the lighting for the scene shot came to me. I was the only dark-skinned girl in my class. At that time, I was the only person of color in my class, and he came to me and was like, "Hey, do you mind just making your makeup a little bit lighter because of the lighting, just if you can?" And that was the first time that has ever happened to me, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay. But I only had brown makeup, I didn't have any other color to use, and I didn't know what he meant, and that was interesting. Instead of him making his lighting to suit everybody, it was up to me to adjust my tone for him.
Never have I ever wanted to change my appearance.
It really did. I couldn't decide.
Yes. Human skin.
What I heard, because we all have different shapes, and my nose is the straightest. Oh, you have a nice little straight nose. I was like, okay, this is a thing, apparently.
To this day, if I'm ever doing anything and for whatever reason, not that it happens a lot, whatever, in a rehearsal, something happens that my nose is in a pressed position for, I don't even think about it. I pop up and I'm and I notice that I do it afterwards, and I'm like, I don't think that's gonna do anything. It's not even it's not even conscious anymore until after I do it. But I realize it's almost like I can feel the pressure of it. I'm like, it's been sitting like that for too long. And it's ridiculous. In my head it is ridiculous, but I notice that it's like a nagging itch or something like that now, if I just feel like it's been like that.
Never have I ever noticed present day shadeism / colorism before working on this piece.
Maybe I should.
The lady in where was it, in church or something like that, and her skin tone was Tarika. Let's say she started off as Tarika. Then as the years went by, I was 7, 8 growing up or whatever every Sunday. It was she became the bleaching creams, they don't even turn you like this, they turn you like Sammy Sosa. And so no shade. But And it was like, whoa, I was like, whoa, what is going on? Like, and and all of like, you know, the ladies, like, siblings are still like dark. Like, she has a sister who's dark like Esie, a person who's dark like me, and I used to be like, I don't understand, like, what is making her, you know, sort of do all of these things. And then I'm like, I don't know if it's like within the community, what she's aspiring to be, or like, and because I was younger and I was like, I just didn't understand. And then now being in this piece, I'm like, okay, the shadeism, this is where everything kind of comes together, colorism, like all that stuff takes place. But
Like my experiences led me to be very aware of how people respond to my shade, and just like the way that guys would interact with me versus women who were lighter. So I remember like growing up, and there was this girl, this like, I don't know, she wasn't biracial, but she was very fair, and had like really long hair, and guys would just like kill themselves to be with her, and I was very jealous of her growing up, and my skin was always kind of like, I didn't hate it, but I was just like, it would be nice to, you know, get some attention. But now, as I'm older, my skin is like one of the biggest things that I get complimented on, is the color and the tone and the complexion of my skin. It's like people love it. So I'm glad that my experiences as a child didn't make me take out. I didn't take out my frustrations on my skin and on my body.
We're prominent, like obviously in the Caribbean, as we spoke about, where like still to this day, like you can be in the grocery store and someone will like either come up to you and be like, oh, your skin's so nice, what's your name, blah blah blah, or they'll cuss you off and be like, because she feels she light skin, she thinks she better than me. Like it's really, it can go both ways. So that's really still evident there, and I've always had those experiences as a child and growing up and going back and forth. Yeah.
Yes-ish. Because in the communities that I grew up in, it's predominantly Caucasian, so I never really had like a gauge of like light skin and dark skin. It was either white or black. So, but I did notice like there was a privilege with myself, because I had access to like certain spaces within like high school and stuff that I noticed not all the black kids, limited few black kids had, and I never really understood why. I just figured it's because like, maybe because I didn't speak with like Ebonics, I wasn't like the stereotype, and I was like the nerd, that maybe I had more access. But looking back at it, it's probably also because of skin tone, because looking like I did theater. So looking back at theater, I was like the darkest kid in the cast at all times. You know, there was never really someone darker than me, unless we did Miracle Worker that one time where they needed like 3 black people to fill the role, right? So yeah, it's been there, but I've never really been as aware until I started getting into like the gay village in Toronto, and then seeing that range, and then seeing how within the black gay community, it's sometimes a bit segregated with the light skin, dark skin, and like seeing like the more biracial light skins will always want to go to like this bar because of that demographic there, and the sometimes the mid-tone or darker skins, you don't see them, they only come out to like the black events, and like it's just an interesting divide. And then I'm still trying to figure out like, where do I lie, because like sometimes I'll try to make friends with lighter guys, and I will flat out say they only like white guys for some reason, or I try to make friends with like darker guys, and they either say, oh, you're too light skinned, you don't connect with us, or they would just bypass me and they would go for white guys. Like it's just interesting. So before that, I experienced it, but I couldn't put a name to it. So I always thought it was like a black and white thing until I started getting introduced to more people within the black community, and then I'm starting to notice there is a divide even between us. And then, of course, through this piece, I started to see it more, and now I can actually name it. You know, because there's things that you see, but you can never actually be like, oh, that's what's going on here. You just sort of see it, you're like, okay, you know, like subconsciously.
So I've seen it in high school, I've seen it after high school, I've seen it with friends and in people's relationships. But I started seeing it originally in my own family and within my family dynamics and people around my family. And I'll never forget one of the most clear examples that I had, and I think I was maybe 12, my brother was maybe 8 or 9, and my youngest brother was like 6 or 7, and we went to go visit a family friend's mother because I think she was getting older, and you know she lived far. She always came to visit us, but we never went to visit her. So we all went, and my youngest brother is the darkest. He's maybe about Ronnie's complexion, and then my brother that's right underneath me is, I would say, between like Miranda and Allison, and then I'm my complexion. And I will never forget, she literally had us all around the couch, and she was doting on my fair brother, just literally like touching his face and saying how beautiful you were, and she was ignoring my youngest brother. Now you'd imagine if you have a small child who's close to a baby, like that's usually the child in the room that gets the most attention, because they're babies and babies like attention. Little children like attention. She didn't say a word to him the entire time.
Who is this?
This was the mother of my mother's close friend.
Oh.
So she was an older woman, like maybe in her 70s, 60s or 70s, maybe closer to 80 almost. And she didn't say a word the whole time we were there. She didn't say a word to my younger brother, and I just saw that, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I can't remember if I said something to her, or I kind of just like, because she wasn't completely ignoring me, but she wasn't really talking to me either. And I think I went up to her and I said something. She's like, "Oh, you know, you're pretty, but your brother, he's so pretty. He's so nice and so pretty." And I never forgot that, because I didn't have a word to put to that experience, but I realized that we were being ranked in importance and in beauty simply based on our shade. Nothing else, not features, not hit, just our shade. And she, to the point where she didn't say a word to my younger brother.
Not the most attuned to it was like high school, university. I think more so university, and just, you know, I had a lot of insecurities with men growing up, but the men, like I would be the darkest one in all of my circles. My girlfriends in high school, the ones that I went out the most, same thing with my girls in university. I was the darkest one out of the group. And I even remember being on a trip. We were in like, remember those like, yeah, let's go, the spring break trips. The only one that we ever went to, which was horrible because it was cold the whole time, except for one day. The worst. But I remember just going out, and then just, it's like the people, and I was like, there was like one lighter skinned girl that's probably around your complexion, a white girl, and a Filipino girl. And just the attention that just, it would just be like, and we're falling to these three people, and then there's you. You know, it's like, nobody want to talk to me? Like, nobody? And then getting out of university, same thing. You know, some of my other artist girlfriends, one girl was light skinned, another girl was white, and it was me. And then it was just like still the same funnel would happen. And it's hard to not naturally assume that there's something wrong with you because of just the natural flow of how people are going, that you're just like, that's actually one of the reasons why I made sure that I always looked good.
You still look good all the time. Just saying.
You know?
Just saying.
Because they can't say nothing.
Exactly, because
You
it's
talk
just
about
like,
once you get to look.
that's
I
like,
look
bad.
bad.
And it's just like, yo, you have to clean up, because
Yeah.
it's just like, I wanted to, like, my whole thing was just like, you know, I don't want there ever to be a time where people are gonna question me or question what it is that I look like, you know? And it was like, if I'm giving myself all the cards, then if I know that you're not talking to me, then okay, that's just a problem with you. But like, it was just like, there's a reason why that transition happened for me. Because I was just like, I don't want to naturally have to keep assuming that same thing over and over and over again. But it's hard because, you know, even like the situation that happened even recently with myself and Miranda when we went out, and it's just like the flow of where men go to, and you're just kind of sitting there, and you know, my instinct would be, oh, that's happening because she's a light-skinned girl. You know, that's my 20-year-old self, that's my teen-year-old self speaking from within me. But then it was just like, okay, well, what happens if they just like Miranda? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, that's an option.
Is that an option?
I don't think that's an option, but like it can be, but it's just, you know, it's like they could just like her more than me. You know, but it's just like you don't realize the biases that you end up forming and the way that you tell yourself, the story that you tell yourself as a result of it, because it's just like, it's easier for me to sit there and say, well, it's because she's the light-skinned girl, you know? It's easier to throw out that card, but then it's just like, but it's not always the truth, you know? So